Hello. We're going to take a quick and hopefully interesting journey into the world of the pipe organ. Maybe you've never been up close to a pipe organ. What I want to do today is show you basically how a pipe organ works and the different sounds it can produce. Let's begin with some basic organ terminology. This whole area, you might call it the keyboard area, is actually called the console. The organ console is all this. It's not all of the organ. The largest part of the organ is actually where the pipes are, on both sides of the building here. All of those pipes are controlled from right here at the console. The area that you might likely call the keyboards, in organ terms, is called the manual. This is the swell manual. This is the grate manual. Down below is the pedal manual. Many organs, and this is a reasonably small organ, many organs have 3, 4, even 5 manuals that the organist will play. But for our sake today, we only have the swell, the grate, and the pedals. On the sides here, you'll see what are called stops. The organ makes no sound until you pull out a stop. Each of the stops have different names and control different ranks of the organ. This is the swell stop. Over here on the other side controls the grate manual in different ranks. Let me tell you one other thing I mentioned the term there, the ranks. Let's start with, on the swell, I'll pull out simply an 8-foot Holzgedeck. All right? And play. The Holzgedeck rank would be all the pipes and farther on. That is one rank. Play the same notes but pull a different stop. This is the viol celeste, 8-foot, and you get different sounds. Those are different ranks. Also, if you can look in close, the stops actually have numbers on them. We have Holzgedeck 8. We could pull a flue chimney 4. And what it's doing is actually changing the octave. Okay. If I have an 8-foot pull, and watch my hands here, an 8-foot, I could play an octave up. An octave is the same note, only higher. All right? But rather than moving from here to here with my fingers, I could actually change from an 8-foot to a 4-foot, and I'm getting that pitch on a different key. Or I could go the other way, or I could go farther to a 2-foot, and back to the 8. Now I'm playing 3 notes by simply playing 1 note. Can you hear them all? There's also some that are not an octave apart, but maybe an octave and an octave and a 5th. You can play this note and this note, or this note, pull out the other stop, play the same note, but get a different pitch. Here's another one. Now I've got a whole chord from playing one simple note. Imagine if I played a chord. Some of the stops have a mixture already built into it. Pull one stop and it has 5 different notes within it. Here we go. Let's do one other, another 8-footer. Good. You have the same, that was all on the swell organ. We have on the grate organ, more stops, different sounds. There's another row of buttons here. You can imagine in the middle of a song it might be quite hard to suddenly change all your stops to get different sounds. So the organ has presets called pistons. Someone has already set these. These are for the swell, or the swell part of the organ. playing the same chord, but getting different sounds because of the different presets or different stops or pistons. There's also a row of pistons for the grate. Those were mostly set the same. Down on near the pedal area, there's another row of pistons, and they are exactly the same. And the only reason that you have them is in case your fingers are too busy playing notes, you can change the stop with your feet. Another interesting pedal on the organ is the crescendo pedal. Let's go back to only one stop, one note. With an organ, to make it louder, you add the crescendo pedal, but it doesn't just change the volume. What it does is adds additional ranks. I'm holding one note down. And depending on which piston is in, it's called the crescendo pedal. There's another pedal called the swell pedal. The pedal I'm going to show you is actually the swell pedal. It works very much like vertical blind. Or another good example would be if I were talking with you and were to simply put my hands over my mouth. I'm talking the same, but the volume changes because of my hands covering it. Well, the organ has a pedal that does the very same thing. Here's a chord. Listen to it. Could you hear the volume change simply by seeing the doors open and close? Listen one more time without watching. That's the swell pedal. The organ has one other manual, but you don't get to play it with your fingers. You have to use your feet, so it's called the pedal manual. If you look close, it's just exactly like any other keyboard. You have essentially the white keys and the black keys, sharps and flats and natural. But you play them with your feet. Let me get one other helpful device to the organ is the couplers. The couplers are this group of notes right here. What it does is it allows you to play something from the swell manual, but if you want that sound to be played on the grate, you simply move swell to grate 8. And so you now have the same sound in both areas. Or perhaps you want it to be an octave higher. Swell to grate 4. So we have it here. And then the same sound higher. Perhaps you want it to be lower. Swell to grate 16. Have the sound here. And the same sound an octave lower. Listen, I could play it this way and down an octave, or I could move down to the other manual with the swell to grate 16. There are many other. You can go grate to pedal, swell to grate. You can move all around within the instrument to create variety and versatility for the instrumentalist. Well, I mentioned that this was the console, but the larger part of the organ is actually where the pipes are. Let's take a little tour there. Go to the rooms, the chamber where the pipes are. Well, here we are. We come up the stairs through the baptistry and the ladies' dressing room, and now we've made our way to the swell chamber of the organ. Here you can see many, many pipes. Every pipe on here is basically a nice small little whistle, or perhaps a flute. You can pull out any note, blow on it, and there's your sound. To actually adjust the pitch, and we won't, but you move this top part up or down just a little to tune it. We'll assume it's in tune and leave it that way. I definitely want to find the right hole to get it back in, or I might have a very upset organist. There we go. You can also see the expression panel that I was showing you that opened the doors. Here are doors. They're closed. The other parts of the organ, look at down near my feet, there are larger pipes. Now these are not pipes that make music. These are the pipes that carry all the air. Much like the plumbing would carry water at your house, these are the ducts that carry all the air for the pipe organ. Let's go to the grate side of the organ. Well, here we are on the other side. This is the grate chamber. You can see there are pipes all through here, lots of air vents. One of the things that you notice is the pipes come in many different shapes. We have pipes that are wooden and square. We have other pipes that are metal. This one is actually bent. It doesn't change. This little wire right here is used to tune the pipe. This happens to be one of the reed pipes. And if you move this up or down, you actually adjust the pitch. This organ, like many pipe organs, has something that's sort of an addition to the organ. It's called the chimes. When the organist plays the chimes from the keyboard, these chimes actually ring. Organ. Did you see something you've never seen before? Learn something you've never known? I hope so. But what's really good about an organ is what it sounds like. Let me introduce you to one of our organists, Richard Cribbs, and have him play some for us. Well, thank you, Richard, for playing so beautifully for us. Also, I'd like to thank Southside Baptist Church in Spartanburg for allowing us to demonstrate the organ to you today.